Imagine if Shakespeare is pitching today. He submits Hamlet to a social media platform and gets a feedback. Okay, great opening, William, but perhaps Act 3 lacks engagement. And could we avoid a bit too much thinking? Could we make Hamlet more relatable? And the ending is probably quite dark. So shall we work on it? I could hear the laughter. Sounds funny and ridiculous, but also very familiar. Because today, stories are not just about, having the meaning. It's also about performing. And actually, stories always had rules. They followed the rules for centuries. If you think of Greek tragedies, they were following, special formats and structures. And Shakespeare himself wrote for theaters, real audiences. And if a play didn't hold attention, it failed. So really, creativity doesn't really come just in originality and something, unique. There are always structures and rules that hold that creativity. And it's quite familiar and what we are experiencing today. I didn't grow up learning storytelling from Hollywood or TikTok back in days. I grew up in Russia. And actually, that time, storytelling was following lots of strict rules. And perhaps at that time, I learned that silence could be a safer option as well. And that's where, of course, the beginning of rules and understanding how important those constraints are sort of got into my head. Reality, of course, and that's the happy part, originality and creativity can happen within constraints. Often innovation, actually, according to researchers, doesn't happen, when we are having a total freedom. We can be creative when there are structures and rules in place. If you think of young people today, they are familiar with these rules and structures. Because today, when they're posting something online, they already know that there needs to be a hook and it needs to be understood within, first 10 seconds. The videos can't be too long on social media. And of course, you need to have something relatable and viral, so something that people can be familiar with. So reality, young people, they grow up knowing the rules of storytelling in a modern sense. And potentially, the influencers, of course, are known to be an authentic storytellers of modern times. But what they really are, they are extreme and talented readers of the room. They know the rules of effective storytelling, not from originality, but from what gets hooked, what can be relatable, and how to tell it in the most kind of authentic way across the formats and moments on social media. So young people, of course, can recognize these rules, and they do live with those rules. So later on, of course, we have some of those examples of influencers such as Kim Kardashian. And you might think, oh, Kim, she always tells original story, but in reality, she actually reinvents herself over and over, again and again, across social media platforms, across formats and moments. So it's about storytelling built to circulate. Or take another person, MrBeast. His stories can be very chaotic. But at the same time, everything what he posts is very precise. We know what the ending will be before we watch the video. We know that there will be no surprises because within the first seconds, it's clear what this story is about. And actually, somebody will say, oh, bad storytelling. But no, it's algorithm-aware storytelling. And creativity lives within these rules of algorithms, building on trends. Of course, now AI enters the conversations. And we always think, oh, it's going to replace creativity. Oh my God, there will be no originality, no storytelling whatsoever. But the truth is, and I'm trying to be very positive, AI actually can't replace human creativity and will never probably be as original and creative as humans are. Because AI learns from patterns. AI, doesn't take risks. AI doesn't imagine. And AI doesn't push the boundaries of the rules as people can. So that's the good part, I guess, and the positive part, that AI learns from the patterns and builds on the stories that we already recognize and rewarded, and just, builds on those sense of rules and builds the storytelling further. Today, my talk is not about rejecting technology. It's about attention. And actually is making you to think that every time we like, share, or even ignore something online, we participate in that great creativity storytelling process. We are the ones who contribute through these actions to the act of making something viral and long-lasting, and actually contributing to algorithms to learn the new rules of storytelling. So the truth is today, and that's the most important part, algorithms don't censor what we say, but they embrace all our stories and they reveal what's popular today. In reality, the key question perhaps shouldn't be, is AI changing storytelling? No, the question should be, are we willing to participate in a culture and, embrace the stories that are optimizing well algorithmically? Because if we do, those are the stories that will live and have a lasting effect. And probably if Shakespeare was alive today, he will still write. But he might stop surprising us, unless MrBeast will give him some few lessons to learn. But that's the truth. Creativity isn't going to be changed by algorithms. We need to recognize the role we all play in the stories that we share, like, and reward, because those are the stories that will then build new generations of creativity and originality. Thank you.